Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's not get confused. Immunity, sovereign immunity, limited immunity. Bottom line is courts have found a way to contort the facts and to also contort the law so as to render police officers not liable for every action that they take to harm the people that they are accused of mistreating or harming. This is just the reality of it. The courts have found a way to deny justice through the civil process to aggrieved individuals seeking compensation for the loss of their loved one. And it's time for us to end that charade, that legal charade that hides behind a bunch of man-made exceptions. You find a way to avoid holding folks accountable. That's why we have the kind of police misconduct that we have today, is because they have not been held accountable through the courts, either criminally or civilly. So fortunately, we're changing both the criminal law and the civil law to make it easier for officers to be held accountable when they violate the law. Now, I'll agree that most police officers don't violate the law. That's why they should not mind when they can be held liable for their misdeeds. Most are not going to commit any misdeeds, and so they have nothing to worry about. It's just like me as an attorney. People could sue me as an attorney, so that meant I had to have malpractice insurance. I had to actually go out and purchase malpractice insurance. And I'm sure that there will be products available to protect police officers. Those products, insurance products, would be paid for by their employer, just like the employer pays the judgments any time when police officers, and it doesn't happen often, but whenever they are held accountable in civil courts, their employer, the city or the county or the state, always steps up to the plate and indemnifies the officer. They're often held liable along with the officer under respondent superior laws. And so, bottom line, people who decide to go into law enforcement, they're not going to be dissuaded from going that route simply because they can be held accountable. So it's nonsense, these arguments that we are hearing about, what we're doing is going to kill the ability of agencies to recruit officers. That's just not going to happen. We do need to raise the pay of these officers so that they don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. There's a lot we can do to foster good policing as opposed to the bad policing that we have being fostered. And one way of curing bad policing is giving people the ability to sue these officers, giving them some redress. That's the way it should be in America. Nobody should be above the law. So I support the underlying bill. I do not support this amendment, which guts an essential provision of the bill, and I'd ask my colleagues to do the same. And with that, I will yield.
Would the gentleman yield?
I'll yield to the gentleman.
Thank you. I just want to ask, isn't it true that even without qualified immunity, in order for an officer to be held liable for the use of force in a civil rights case, the plaintiffs would already have to show that the officer's use of force was unreasonable, even without qualified immunity?
It would.
Thank you. I yield back.